Well, my name is Marnix de Bruyne. I'm a journalist. I wrote this book on actually Dutch farmers in Zimbabwe, but so I think that's the reason that I was asked a bit to come, because I've talked a lot with farmers. And this is better, huh? And of course, so I took this from internet, and the thing is, and when you see in the newspapers stories on climate change, it's always talk about the average temperature rise of maybe 1.5% that we have to keep under, or maybe 2%. But that's always an average, and it's very good to realize that an average means that in some areas it's even much hotter than in other areas. And I go back to this one. This is, for instance, from a report in South Africa, which says that, you know, it's also a long-term project, that in South Africa it will not be 2% or 1.5%, but it might be 4% or 6% Celsius if averagely you talk about 1.5%. What does that mean for the people who live there? I talked to small farmers and big farmers, and they told me that already now you can see so much change, that the season is very unpredictable, that before you could... wait, sorry to interrupt, but this is what smallholders can tell you in Zimbabwe and South Africa. That before you could expect the season to start in late October or early November, and now it's just changed. So for instance, the crop of tobacco, you need to plant, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gift, you need to plant, if you're a normal farmer without irrigation, 2 weeks before the rain start. But if you don't know anymore, if you cannot calculate when the rain comes, that causes a lot of difficulties. And your crops, your seedlings, your expensive seedlings can die. Maybe you know tobacco farmers who would tell you that, or yeah. So that's one thing. And the big farmers, the commercial farmers, they of course have the same problems, but they have money often, they have insurance. They tell me it's the same thing, but they have irrigation, so they can start, if the rains don't come, they can irrigate their crops. Another thing is, they tell me there is a lot of, you wouldn't expect it, but often you have hailstorms with big hails that damage all the leaves on your fields. But the rich farmers, they have insurance, and they even sometimes gain money out of it, because the insurance pays everything, and then they still have some of the crop left, which they still sell. But if you're a small farmer, and there are so many of them, the majority of people in Southern Africa are small farmers. They're really dependent on rain only. I think it's 96% of the agriculture in sub-Saharan Africa is dependent on rain. Then you have problems as well. Yeah, if there are no measures taken, as I said, then it can, in South Africa, you have many areas where it's already dry, which is already semi-desert. It can be even more hot. But if there are measures taken worldwide, then you can keep it between 2.5 and 4 Celsius degrees. If we don't stop global warming, that means that in the end, ordinary crops like maize it cannot be possible anymore to grow that. And maize is the main crop, the main food in South Africa and Zimbabwe, in Mozambique. And in the report that Gift is going to present, there's one figure that really struck me, and that is that if the maize field is one day above 30 degrees, that it's already a loss of 1% in the weight of the harvest. So, and of course there are other grains that are better resistant to heat, like sorghum, but it's really very difficult to change a whole population in the feeding patterns. So that's what I call here with the tipping point, and that's even even worse. Now, I don't know if you have followed the news last year that in South Africa there was a moment that there was almost no water anymore in the main city of Cape Town. They were counting down to day 0, that all the lakes with also drinking water were getting emptier and emptier. And that is also what you can see here. There can be more droughts in Southern Africa leading to that kind of day 0 events. And I just want to end with this. This is the picture from a satellite after March this year, when the cyclone Idai came ashore on Mozambique. This is the town of Beira, and everything that you see that is red is actually flooded because as a consequence of the cyclone Idai. And there will be more cyclones with more climate change like this. And that caused a lot of internal refugees, people who lost their crops, who lost their houses. And so that's my main thing on Southern Africa. There's one other farmer in South Africa, also a commercial farmer, who is growing avocados, and he is also just, I mean, he's managing because he has money, he has insurance, but he's saying nowadays I have to count every drop of water, and I'm really being very efficient with it. So he's also also because of climate change. There's one warning I want to make, and that is in a country like Zimbabwe, where you also have a history of very bad governance, actually in corruption, and a whole campaign against commercial farmers in the past. It can be used also as an excuse to hide just bad policies. And they say, no, it's global warming, and while it's actually maybe corruption or bad policies. I think I stayed within my
time limit.
10 minutes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Marnix. There will be the opportunity to ask Marnix some questions after Thijs Lacour's presentation, because then the two of them will be joining us again on stage to answer questions from the audience. But now I would like to invite Gift up on stage to give his presentation.
As you know, if anyone knows something about climate, it's farmers.